Welcome to Morningwood Drive to win or go kick a field goal or something. Can he do it?
No.
No. I mean, at this point, this is an underreaction.
Dude.
I mean, we're 0-2.
Four Saints are better than the 2013 Broncos.
Welcome to Morningwood. We are back with another episode. My name's Jason. Some people call me J Biggs. That's Matt. We talk football. We're pretty dumb, but let's get into it. Top of the morning news. Who's hurt is pretty much what this segment is called. Isaiah Pacheco, big one for the Chiefs, injured his ankle Sunday against the Bengals. He will have surgery this week, will be out for 6 weeks or possibly more. Huge loss for the Chiefs. They like to run the ball on first and second down a ton. Deebo Samuel, breaking news today, will likely miss a couple weeks, according to Kyle Shanahan, along with CMC being placed on the IR before week 2 last week. Cooper Kupp, big names in the NFL. Cooper Kupp's expected to miss an extended period of time as well. Could end up on the IR, not confirmed yet, but that is according to Sean McVay. Justin Jefferson did have some sort of quad injury. He is day-to-day, but is expected to be good to go this week. And for tonight, A.J. Brown out for the Eagles. Could be a big loss. We will see how that affects the Eagles going into Monday Night Football tonight. But let's go over some big headlines from the Sunday, week 2. As I was going over that news, Alvin Kamara just scored another touchdown against the Cowboys.
He's celebrating it right now.
The Packers run the ball 53 times against the Colts with Jordan Love out. The Colts knew the run was coming. They couldn't stop it. Interesting stat. I think Josh Jacobs had over 150 on the ground. 126 of that came after contact. So they couldn't tackle him.
That's some hard running. Right?
That is some hard running. Malik Willis gets it done for the Packers while Jordan Love is out. Obviously, my Ravens blow another lead to an inferior team in the fourth quarter. That's just what we do at home now, apparently. We just lose to bad teams when we're up big. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Sam Darnold for the Vikings, he might actually be him. They beat the 49ers. Shout out to the Vikings defense. Skull, I called it last week, baby. Skull!
You did.
Skull!
What is that?
They might be the most underrated team in the NFL right now, but people are starting to catch on to the Vikings. The Cardinals put up 41 against the Rams. Just wait until Black Ops 6 comes out. Kyler's going to fall off a little bit. He's going to be grinding.
He's got to get back to the siege.
The Chiefs and the refs get another W this week. Shout out to the Chiefs and the refs in the NFL. They get another win. The Bucks get a huge win against the Lions. Baker Mayfield puts the team on his back, eat a W. And the NFC South, kind of dominating right now.
They're looking good.
They're kind of dominating. And then today, breaking news, Bryce Young for the Panthers was benched for the Red Rocket. Andy Dalton. No, he's not dead yet. He's not dead yet. He just needs a little break from the NFL. He's just getting beat up. But yeah, those are the headlines from week 2. Injuries, that big injuries. Everyone I pretty much named is a superstar in the league, pretty much. So let's move on to AB.
And the best segment on the internet, my favorite
Let's go.
segment.
I'm ready for this one.
Roll it. The Antonio Brown tweet of the night.
Kicks a man.
Antonio Brown.
Who on social media, man? This is about us, nobody else, man.
The ref in Patrick Mahomes' jersey swap. The
They
Photoshop
love
of
that.
this picture is actually outstanding. I know that's a lot of buzz around that game, and it's definitely been talked about. Definitely a headline, that last call to kind of seal the deal for the Chiefs with the game-winning field goal. But this picture is hilarious, and yeah, every week we're going to say it, but follow Antonio Brown on Twitter.
I think I tweeted a similar tweet last week when the Ravens lost to the Chiefs.
Yeah, you did. Great tweet, though. This is hilarious.
Legendary.
This is a great tweet, but
It's
that's
facts.
going to be my Antonio Brown
Facts.
tweet of the day. Let's get into, like you said, our first segment, recapping the NFL Week 3 Really quick, Jason, what is going on in football? I'm not sure. Our predictions looking terrible and
Yeah.
crazy football right now. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's like everyone watches week 1 and then we think we know what's happening and we're like, all right, we know how this season's going to go. And then week 2 comes and it's like, what? Like, we don't know. We don't know what's even happening in the NFL right now.
I don't know what's happening. I hope you guys do, though. We're going to start with Tua, and the Dolphins lose big at home. Obviously, the biggest news coming from that game is Tua, yet another concussion, another scary hit taken. Bit unnecessary, didn't need it. That play, he definitely crossed a line to gain that he needed and could have just slid, dove to his left, avoided the hit, lowered his shoulder, and the rest is what we know now. But the Bills do win big. I did call that they were going to win that game, but not in that fashion. They looked great. What are your thoughts on this game? Obviously, the big
Yeah. So the Tua thing, obviously not what we want to see. He has a bad history. Apparently, not going to retire. He's going to continue to play. I know that was a big conversation. But I think that injury does overshadow how dominant the Bills were in that game. James Cook had 3 touchdowns in the first half.
Let James cook.
Let James cook. He's actually a dog. Tua goes down, which is obviously the big news around the league. But I think that is definitely taking away from how dominant the Bills were in that game against the Dolphins.
Yeah, the Bills are great. I know week 1, I thought they kind of had a lull with Arizona, but apparently Arizona, we'll talk about in a little bit, is legit, and that offense looks good. So I think the Bills look good. Like, they beat what now might be a good Cardinals team or a surprise, and they go into Miami on the road and just dominate at all, phases of the ball. Like you said, Cook, had
the receivers do worry me a little bit, their receiving core.
They don't have any big names, really, that I feel like is going to win one-on-ones. Like, the passing game, we'll see how that looks, but I feel like if they have 17, like, they're going to win a lot of games. Like, that dude just gets the job done. Which, them starting 2-0, though, is huge. Their remaining schedule, again, like I said in the previous episodes, they have a rough schedule, so going on the road to Miami and winning a big division game is huge, and how they won it as well. But yeah, the biggest story for the Bills, I think, offensively, like you said, the receivers are a little bit of a question mark, but not a question mark, is that running back James Cook. 3 touchdowns, 2 on the ground, 1 in the air. My man is playing out of his head right now. So
it really felt like when Tua went down, like the game was just over, like at that point, and nothing really happened in the second half. I guess like the receivers numbers, like I think Josh Allen only threw for 131 yards, but in the second half, it was just run the ball. So
the big question mark too is Mike McDaniel's
his play calling was very questionable.
They had one good drive, really good drive where they scored on in the first half, but the play calling and then the time management right before half, like they got the ball with like 3 minutes left and they're barely getting into field goal range with like 20 seconds.
I remember that.
Yeah, I don't know. Rough night for Miami, but
let's
we'll move on.
Move on to Sunday. Sam Darnold is going to win the MVP. That's just my takeaway. Are the Vikings okay?
I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
The 49ers, I think the story of that game obviously was the 4 turnovers from the 49ers. It's hard to win a football game when you turn the ball over 4 times.
Yeah.
But the Vikings defense, they did give up some a decent numbers to the 49ers offense, but they had takeaways when they needed them.
Yeah.
And then that big play to Justin Jefferson for 97 yards from Sam Darnold. And then that ref, did you see the ref on that play?
Yes.
Someone like the Bills might need him at receiver.
Dude,
that dude was flying.
That guy hit the flip.
Yeah.
He needs to be in our secondary.
That's what I'm saying.
That guy's covering ground.
He beat Justin Jefferson to the end zone. That guy's a demon.
They might need to test him.
How you feeling about the 49ers and Vikings?
Yeah, like you said, the 4 turnovers didn't help. Obviously, on the road, you can't do that. Brock didn't have a great game overall. Obviously, the Vikings defense, like you said, they looked good, but Purdy throwing almost 40 times coming from week 1. He only threw like 20-something, I think. But asking Purdy to throw 40 times on the road, it's not going to be a recipe.
It's not their brand.
No, it's not their bread and butter. But Mason, the guy who's coming in for CMC had another good game on the ground, which is a good sign. And a big day for Debo. Obviously, they're losing him, but they like you said, they had a decent day offensively. But the biggest stat for them and the biggest stat for the Vikings defense to win off of is money down. 2 for 10 on third down for that 49ers offense. That is actually really good from the Vikings. To do that against that offense is very impressive. So we'll see. We'll see how San Francisco bounces back. I still have them as the favorites kind of in the NFC still. I know the Debo loss is rough, but I still believe in the guys that they have. So
I agree.
Moving on, the best offense maybe of all time. I don't know. Derek
so
Carr,
far through 2 weeks maybe.
Derek Carr and the Saints roll into Dallas and spank them. They win big, and I don't even know really what to say about the Saints. I was completely wrong on the Saints. I think I had them winning like 7 games this year in my prediction. Yeah. They just walk into Dallas and dominate again. First week they dominate. It was a question mark. They beat Carolina. Well, they just beat one of the better teams in the NFC fairly easily. What are your thoughts?
It was wild. Like we were talking about the Cowboys defense shutting down the Browns in week 1. They were like, all right. And then the Saints put up 50 points on the Panthers. All right, it's the Panthers. But then they just go do the same thing to the Cowboys in their house. Alvin Kamara, 4 touchdowns, 115 yards on the ground, another 65 through the air. Derek Carr only completed 11 passes, but he had 243 passing yards. Rashid Shaheed, a deep threat coming out of New Orleans right now.
Yeah, the Saints, they're for real. It was a bit of a question mark. It might be a little early to say they're for real, but the looks of it, they look like the most complete team in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
Hottest team for sure. I know everyone's talking about Carr and Kamara and, like you said, Shaheed and Olave, but the biggest, I think, surprise, I guess you would say, but one of the two of the things that aren't really talked about right now is the Saints defense is playing out of their mind right now, and probably the best offensive line in football. The defensive statistic that's interesting is 58 rushing yards allowed in the first week and then 68 in the second week. Obviously, it's pretty easy to play the run when you're scoring what seems like on every play. I believe 18 times they've touched the football this year. They've scored on all 18.
Yeah.
It's insane. Obviously, the defense doesn't have to really worry about the rush when you're up by 3 touchdowns in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think the two underrated parts of that team right now that not a lot of people are talking about is the defense, because they did really well against that, Cowboys offense, which has a lot of good talent. And then the offensive line. They are maybe the best unit in football right now. I don't know.
That was crazy.
Crazy to look at right now. Just crazy land. I don't know what's happening.
So moving on, the Colts kind of stink.
The Colts suck.
I think everyone that watched football or makes picks on games picked the Colts to run the Packers over without Jordan Love. But the Packers come into that, they had a game plan, and the game plan was to run the ball, obviously with Malik Willis taking over. The Colts couldn't do anything about Josh Jacobs.
No.
I knew they were running. The Colts knew they were running. Everyone in the stadium knew they were running, and they couldn't stop him. Malik Willis comes in, game man. He handed the ball off really well, I guess you could say. But we talked about how the Packers are going to have to survive this next stretch of 3 games last week. And they started off with a W, which is huge. And Jordan Love might actually come back next week. We don't know the status of him yet. But that was a huge win for the Packers.
Yeah, definitely didn't see this one coming. I think Pat McAfee said this on his show today, which had me crying. But did the Colts not prepare for the run? What was the game plan all week for them?
Yeah.
I want to know, what were they talking about in the meetings? They think they're playing the 82 Dolphins with Marino. They're going to run the ball. They have not a rookie, but a guy who hasn't seen much playing time. Obviously, we said this last week. They're going to need to lean on the run game and play defense. Maybe the Colts should have tuned in to our episode last week because they clearly didn't understand what was going on. Obviously, Jacobs and the run game itself had a great game, but even on third down, 3rd and 8s, they were dropping 8 in the coverage against Willis. No spy, no contain in the pocket, no blitzing against a young quarterback. I don't know. A very strange game from the Colts. Obviously, falling to 0-2 for them is a bit of a surprise, especially when they almost had like a alley-oop in this game. They're playing a loveless, Packers team, but apparently no love, no problem out here in Green Bay.
I mean, shout out to the Packers defense as well, only giving up 10 points to the Colts. I think Jonathan Taylor had a decent day on the ground, but they were holding up in the red zone and just getting it done.
Yeah. Interesting to see how the Colts look moving forward.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Ravens if I have to.
Flock, baby. We're flocking out here.
God damn it, dude.
What are your thoughts on the 0-2 Ravens, Jay?
I have so many thoughts. We could make a whole episode for 2 hours talking about it, but it comes down to the fourth quarter. I mean, that's been the story. Horrible time management from Harbaugh and the coaches.
Yeah.
This is an interesting stat. I saw this today. This is the Ravens' point margin by quarter since the beginning of last season. First quarter, we're up 62 points on our opponents since the beginning of last season. Second quarter, we're up 80. Third quarter, we're up 52. Fourth quarter, we're negative 4-point margin since the beginning of last season. So that story, that right there tells you, like, we're not finishing games, obviously. And that comes down to coaching, situational football, time management, and just closing games out in the fourth quarter. The Ravens have 10 losses with a 7-point lead or more in the fourth quarter over the last 4 seasons. Which as a fan, it's just like why? Why are, like, everyone knows how to manage the football. Everyone thinks they know how to manage a football game. But it's not looking good for us right now. Starting 0-2 is not what obviously any football team wants, and it doesn't get any easier. We go to the Cowboys next week, then we host the Bills on primetime, and then we go to Cincinnati. So we need to figure it out and figure it out fast.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't watch too much of this game. I kind of had the 1:00 games all on Red Zone and just trying to bounce back and forth between everything. But overall, I'm shocked. Obviously, falling at home to the Gardner Minshew Raiders is interesting. Again, I didn't watch too much of it. You did kind of, cover it. But the stat I want to talk about is a 0-2 stat that I saw on the Pat McAfee show. It says 0-2 teams. Since the NFL playoffs expanded to 14 teams in 2020, so 4 seasons ago, 32 franchises have started the season 0-2, so 32 different times. And only 2 of those teams, of the 32, that's a 6.25%, not good. Cincinnati in 2022 and Houston in last year, 2023, have made the postseason, so only 2. And just 5 of the 32 have finished with a season-winning record.
Yeah,
not great. Not a great look for
who
I had winning the AFC North.
It's really going to be tough to get into the wild card if we don't win the division. So it's starting 0-2, obviously. A lot of season left, but the Raiders was a must-win. I feel like I don't know. I don't want to say must-win week 2, but like that was like a given win for the Ravens at home.
Yeah,
and that's a win that we're going to have to try to get back.
Yeah,
at some point.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll see how it looks moving forward for you guys. But a bit of a shocker, not great start.
Definitely.
Let's move on to
depressing.
So everybody pray for Jay out here. I mean, good Lord, all the Baltimore fans, they're not looking.
Everyone's calling for Harbaugh's head. Like I like Harbaugh, but I can't defend them this week. It was just bad. Yeah. Like Devontae Adams had an amazing catch on the sideline, like dragging his feet, and then we challenged the play when it was like everyone in the stadium was watching the Jumbotron. Saw it was a catch. We challenge it, lose a timeout. Then instead of a minute left with the game, like a minute left in the game when we want to go kick a field goal, we have 27 seconds, and it's just like a whole, like just bad time management. That's what it was, bad time management.
Yeah. And
you can't give up a 10-point lead to Gardner Minshew.
Can't.
It's just
at home, you can't do it.
Yeah.
Can't have it.
Even on the road, wherever, any place, any field, you don't give up a 10-point lead to Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, that's not great for Baltimore. But let's move on so you don't,
so I don't
break your setup.
Yep.
Let's talk about the surprise Cardinals. I think preseason and going into the season, everyone kind of had them in the bottom 5 of their their power rankings, but they look really good, putting up 489 total yards of offense. Are the Cardinals for real? Kyler Murray throwing 3 touchdowns. That connection to Harrison, my offensive rookie of the year, looked butter. It looked clicked big time, hauling in 2 touchdowns and 132 yards. I will have a picture up of something that I do want to post, but the connection looks great there. Lots of talk last week about Marvin Harrison. He looked a bit off. He looked a bit too much in his head, I think, coming into week 1. He didn't look great route running. He didn't have like explosion off the line, like good footwork. He looked very much like he kind of let the moment get the best of him in week 1, I think, and then letting the missed touchdown wide open last week and hearing all the noise, he probably like settled in a little bit, worked hard this week, and it paid off. I mean, he looked great. That connection looked really good. Defense as well. Another team that kind of the defense is not really talked about, but I mean, they hold, to the good Rams offense to, they hold them to like 10 points or something. I don't even know. I mean, they look good, but overall, I mean, the Cardinals, are they for real, Jay?
I think they might be. I mean, you don't right now after watching them, you don't want to go play the Cardinals. You have the Cardinals on your schedule. You're like, all right, we got to lock in and play a good football game.
Yeah.
But Kyler was the highest graded quarterback from PFF this week, and Marvin Harrison was the number 1 receiver graded for PFF this week. So
yeah, he had a perfect quarterback rating.
Yeah. So I mean, the Cardinals might be for real.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be like a deep, maybe NFC playoff threat, but I mean, they could give some teams some trouble though. Like you said.
Definitely. Staying in that division, the LA Rams,
dude,
they're having some issues. Puka and Kupp both on the IR now. They had the offensive injuries last week. It's just unfortunate, and it's just not looking good for the Rams. I think Sean McVay is a great coach, and he can game plan with the guys that he's got, but it's just going to be hard for Stafford to just put the team on his back. They still get Kyron Williams, who's a workhorse in the backfield, but it's tough,
man. It's the injury bug is tough. Their offensive line's already dealing with that. Now their position guys, they're key guys on the outside. Like that's tough. Obviously, like with that coach, they've always been an offensive-led team, even when they've had good players on defense like Aaron Donald and stuff. But they've always leaned on that offense and play calling to kind of get the job done. But man, they look like the Space Jam bench.
It's rough
against the Monstars. Not great.
And then we can move on to Taylor Swift and the refs get another W. Good job. I mean, the Chiefs. The Chiefs get another W against the Bengals. Go down to the wire. But it was a good game. The Bengals always play the Chiefs pretty well every time. What are your thoughts on the Bengals Chiefs?
Yeah, apparently every time the Bengals and Chiefs line up, it's going to be the best game maybe of the year. Yeah. I don't know why that is. They come off looking like caca cheeks last week, and then they're going to play the dynasty of the 2020s and play them down to the wire last play. Joe Burrow and the Bengals, like if they played every week like they did the Chiefs, they might be the best team of all time. So maybe they can figure that one out. But everyone's talking about it. Let's talk about it a little bit. The PI call. Was it the right call? Yes. I did see a poll. Pat McAfee tweeted out a poll. Everyone was agreeing that it was the right call. The difference on the poll was it the right timing to make that call? That could be up for debate. In my opinion, he got to the ball early. He got there too early. And in that moment, you cannot leave the game up to the refs. I don't care if you're at home. I don't care if you're up by 20. I don't care what the situation is. You cannot let the game fall into the refs' hands. And I think the defensive back just made a bad play.
It's tough either way because the refs are going to get blamed if he doesn't throw it. So, it's like if he doesn't throw it and it's blatant pass interference, it's like, oh, the refs just ruined the game for the Chiefs. But
it's literally the Saints game, the playoff game from years ago.
Yeah.
If they don't call it, they're awful. If they do call it, they're still awful.
Right.
It's just where you fall as a fan on the side of the flag. If you're a Chiefs fan, you're happy they threw it. If you're a Bengals fan, they all should be fired. So
I agree.
But in my opinion, it was the right call. And in my opinion, I think it was the right time. I don't think you should leave that up to the refs. I think you need to make a better play on the ball, get your hand around, and make a good play.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a bit of a recap of week 3. Again, crazy land, crazy football. I don't know what's happening. He doesn't either. Nobody does. But let's talk about a quick stat. I want to bring up the rookie quarterbacks. This is from Opta Stats on Twitter, but rookie quarterbacks have thrown a combined 196 passes, almost 200 passes in the NFL so far. That's a lot. And they have not thrown a single passing touchdown. Yeah. That's the most consecutive pass attempts by rookies without a touchdown pass to begin an NFL season in NFL history. That's not good. Again, I don't think they've looked awful, Nix, Williams, and Daniels, but not a great stat from the rookies. What are your thoughts initially on the rookies so far this year? I know they've played a couple of tough defenses, had a couple of tough road games. Obviously, the Bears' offensive line, like I said last week, is possibly unfixable. They might want to get us out there. I think we do better.
I mean,
what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts on the rookie QBs, I've always been a big believer in drafting a rookie high, but having him sit a year. The college game is so much different from the NFL. Bill Belichick was talking about that today. Yeah. I think I saw an interview from Derrick Henry saying, the college and the NFL is so much different. Yeah. And you're expecting these guys outside of CJ Stroud. He's just a different breed. He's a dog. But,
yeah, literally, that's the one guy.
That's the one guy that I've seen have
in the last 2 years.
Really good success coming in as a rookie. And everyone else, it takes a while because the game, all these NFL guys are saying, is just so much different from college. The guys are faster, they're stronger. You can't run around, make those kind of plays that you can in college.
Right.
And I've always been a big believer. Jordan Love is probably the most recent example where he was drafted pretty high, but he got to sit behind Aaron Rodgers. And now Jordan Love is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah.
And Patrick Mahomes did the same thing behind Alex Smith.
Right. No, I agree. That's a great point. I did say, I remember coming into the season, our first NFL, when we talked about the preseason for Caleb and Daniels, they looked good. I know it's preseason, but it still is a jump. But I will say just off the top of our head, because it was last night, but the Bears, Caleb Williams isn't going to be able to read NFL disguises yet, like the other guys in the league that have been around for a while. And there were literally plays last night where there are free rushers at the quarterback, and that's not on Caleb. That's on
his O-line wasn't doing him any favors last night.
No, they have to pick those up because the game, like you said, is already hard enough for these young guys. Overall, I think they'll be fine. I do agree with you. I do like when a quarterback sits and gets a little bit seasoned, maybe from a veteran. Obviously, like you said, Love gets to learn from Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers got to learn from Favre. Yep. So you can see how, again, some guys do succeed getting thrown right into the fire. CJ Stroud is an example. There's others around the league that are able to do that. But I still think it is a position that jump is huge. It's not the same game. And Caleb Williams is quickly figuring that out. And yeah. I don't think, I think they'll be okay, but just a rough stat, and hopefully, because I do like all three of those guys. I really think they have a lot of promise, especially, I think they can all kind of succeed in those teams, but yeah, not a great start for the.
I think we're seeing it with Bryce Young right now. He started last year, didn't have a great year, started off bad this year, and now he's benched this week. Yeah. So it's if he was sitting all last year and they just had a rebuild year, would he come out and look like a NFL quarterback and not what he's putting out on the field right now?
Yeah.
But we'll never know, I guess.
We'll see. Another fun stat is the 2024 MVP races heating up, baby. Through 2-week passing leaders. If you didn't see this coming, you don't know ball. TikTok brain.
These are the top 3 that I had, honestly.
This is my MVP front runner. If you didn't have this, you're stupid. The touchdown leaders so far we have Derek Carr leading the pack with 5 touchdowns, Baker Mayfield right behind him with 5 as well, 1 on the ground, 6 total, and Sam the MVP Darnold with 4. What the hell are your thoughts on this? Because like I said, if you didn't see this coming, you don't know.
I think Josh Allen should probably be up there, right? He's got to be up there too, right? No, I don't even know.
These are the leaders. Not the MVP race. These are just your touchdown leaders.
No, I know, but didn't he have 4 touchdowns week 1?
He might be right under Sam Darnold.
He might be.
Sam's him, so he's going
to. He was definitely below Sam Darnold, by the way. No, this look at the teams that they play for. The Saints, the Bucks, who people were on the Bucks. The Bucks were not going to be. Yeah, they're not going to be bad. But the Vikings and the Saints, like I'm pretty sure I had them coming in last in both of the divisions, and now they're both like playing insanely well, both 2-0.
Yeah, I don't know. I was completely wrong on both of those teams. Just again, crazy.
I mean,
stats.
this week too, let's pump the brakes a tad bit, but they both look good.
Yeah, they do. I was wrong. I mean, just crazy football land. I don't know what's happening.
Let's go to what we had as our game of the week last week. Tampa Bay wins a tough game on the road in Detroit, 20-16. What are your thoughts on this game?
I think that my thoughts are Baker Mayfield is kind of proving a lot of people in Cleveland and on the Rams. He's kind of been a little bit of a journeyman the last couple of years, but he did find a home. You mentioned that last week. And boy, that home is suiting him well. Baker is playing out of his mind. 6 total touchdowns, like I said, in 2 games. He did have an interception against Detroit, but bounced back, had a crazy touchdown run. I mean, he made that. I think it was a safety coming in for Detroit to try to make a tackle. He's put his foot in the ground, made him look silly.
Looking at those highlights, it reminds me a lot of like Baker Mayfield at Oklahoma. Like he hasn't been able to do that in the NFL, but now like this year, those like runs, that TD run, looks like Oklahoma Baker Mayfield, which is awesome.
I think he's just a guy that has matured. His game has matured.
Yeah.
He's matured as a person. When you look at him from Oklahoma, like you said, to now, he's just so much more seasoned. You know, he's been around for a while, and I think the Bucs just believe in him. Like that team believes in Baker, and I love it. The Lions, on the other hand, they did shoot themselves in the foot. They lost the turnover battle. We just saw that with San Francisco. It's not a recipe for success. It doesn't matter if you're at home. It doesn't matter if you're on the road. If you're losing the turnover battle, it's not great. And the reason that isn't great is because they led literally in like every other stat. Time of possession, third down percent, passing yards, rushing yards, total yards, all of it. They led in everything but the biggest one, the turnover battle. They held the Bucs to 2 for 10 on third down. That's the money down. You love to see that from your defense. But kicking 3 field goals at home and losing the turnover battle is why you lose to Baker Mayfield and the Bucs. I don't think it was too big of a loss for Detroit. You know, both defenses played great, but a bit of a downer coming off of their big overtime win against a good Rams team. But I think the Lions will bounce back. Just again, one of those where the ball doesn't really bounce your way. But hey, Baker goes in. You know, the Bucs go in on the road and when it's like you said, tough game. So kudos to them. I think Detroit will be fine. Like I said, it was going to be a good game, and it turned out to be a pretty solid game. Liked what I saw.
Yeah, if you look at the stat sheet, you definitely think Detroit is winning that game. Aiden Hutchinson had a good day, 4.5 sacks. The Lions,
Taylor,
like Dan Campbell goes, but he calls a fake punt like on their own 20. They convert it, and you just like usually if you convert a fake punt, like you're going to win a football game. But Dan Campbell does blame himself. At like halftime, they had some kind of miscommunication where the time runs out, where they had 12 men on the field, and there's a runoff, and they don't get the field goal off.
Yeah.
But the Bucs defense, I got to give them credit. Only gave up 1 touchdown, like you said. The Lions kicked 3 field goals. They just couldn't score. They couldn't score. They couldn't get in the end zone, and that was the difference.
Yeah. No, I mean, big win for the Bucs. Again, hey, 2-0. Who would have thought? And 6 total touchdowns for Baker Mayfield in 2 games.
He's him.
That's it for the NFL. Pretty crazy 2 weeks so far.
2 weeks.
A lot of things that. You know, a lot of teams that bounce back after losing bad. A lot of teams that look like dog caca after looking good week 1. We have no idea what's going on. Y'all don't probably either, but it's all good. We're going to move on.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We'll cover it. We'll cover the craziness.
We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. Let's move on to college football. Let's recap. I'm going to pull it up at our week 2, our week, what is it? 3, 4? What are we in college?
Yeah, week 3.
Week 3 picks from last week. So I go 3-3. I'm now at an overall of 9-8. You go 4-2. Another good week. You're at 11-6.
Not too shabby.
Let's kind of go through these games really quick. We both pick Arizona. They decide to forget how to play football on the road. We both lose that one.
They couldn't score. Kansas State might be for real. They're a pretty good football team.
Yeah, they're ranked. We'll look at the top 25 here, but they were ranked 14th. They're obviously going to move up probably.
Yeah.
Big home win. We'll talk about this game in a little bit. But South Carolina lost to LSU. we'll get into that, but I get that one wrong. The Gamecocks basically won, so I should be technically 4-2. You picked LSU, I think, right? You got
I had LSU. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're right on that one. I'm wrong. FSU.
We're never gonna have them in a top matchup. Like, this is the last time we'll talk about FSU this whole year.
Yeah, we're gonna recap their game a little bit, but they lose to the Memphis Tigers, my AAC pick of the year to win and be a playoff team. We'll get into that a little bit, but FSU, you guys might want to just close it down. Let's get to like baseball, football is done. Let's get to baseball and basketball, some other sports, maybe volleyball. They're probably good in that. Moving on, we got Missouri squeaks out a little bit.
That was a scary game for Missouri.
Yeah, to Boston College. What are your thoughts? Hey, this team didn't give up a point all season, and Boston College comes in and gives them a point.
Once they start playing some real SEC teams, I don't know if they're going to be number 6 for long. We'll see. I mean, I don't know if I should give like more credit to Boston College, but Missouri, kind of scary. They squeak it out. They get the win. They get it done, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's more credit to Boston College because they did beat Florida State on the road, and they looked good against Missouri on the road again.
Yeah.
Moving on. Well, we both got that right, by the way, the Missouri game.
Yeah.
Moving on. This is another one where I think we split. I had Florida winning this at home, much needed home win, and they said, "Hey, Matt, we're not going to win this week. We don't care about this season. We have the hardest season in college football, hardest schedule, so we're just gonna give up." And I was, I forgot they told me that. So, but you picked Texas A&M.
Yeah, I think Texas A&M, they have a good football team. I mean, they did lose the week 1 to Notre Dame, but they're going to bounce back. I think they'll win 8 or 9 games.
Yeah, no, I agree. Again, we split on that one, and then we both get the Colorado game right. A lot of talk, a lot of noise,
a lot of chatter
in this game on social media and stuff like that. I don't think we have them in the recap around college football, but overall thoughts of this. Obviously, I said it was a much needed win for Colorado. It was a big rival game. They lost to them last year, right? Didn't they?
No, they barely won.
They barely won. They beat the brakes off of them on the road.
I mean, they should, like, the Buffs won. We both picked the Buffs, but it's like, we're talking about Colorado State here. Like, I get it's like kind of a rivalry game, but they're in the Mountain West. Like, let's beat them and move on. Like, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I'll cover that a little bit later.
Yeah, they're always going to be talked about, but we were both right on that. Again, I finished at 9-8 so far. You're ahead of me by 2 at 11-6. Pretty close.
Not bad.
Pretty close for college, but that's our picks from last week. Let's get into this matchup of the week. LSU and the refs, who apparently had like $2 million on LSU money line, go into Columbus and win. Like I said, 36-33. They had some help with some very controversial calls. They have 2 pick sixes called back in this game by some of the worst calls I've ever seen in my entire lifetime.
Oh. They
call an unnecessary block in the blah, blah, blah against the quarterback. Mind you, he throws an interception on this play. It is now a turnover. So the offense is now on defense. And they give him a little push. Garrett Musmere, I don't even know how to say his last name. I don't care to say his last name. I hate this guy. He flops, looks like LeBron James, flops on the ground. They call a flag. Mind you, this is on the goal line. They're about to go in and score. Pick 6. Columbus is going crazy. People are stripping, running on the field. They basically seal the game with a pick 6, and the flags are like, whistle, whistle. We have LSU money line. This is and then they have a big play. They have a big play on like second down. Second down, they big a conversion. It's like 35-yard pass. Then again, whistle, whistle. Vegas called. They call a flag on offensive pass interference, and the broadcasting booth goes to each receiver on the footage,
trying to figure out where the flag is.
And the flag must have been in week 2 because it's not on this. It's not on this play. So what are they talking about? And then get this: the very next play, strip sack, LSU gets the ball back. 2 pick sixes called back, bogus calls from the refs, and then of course Sellers, the starting quarterback for South Carolina, gets hurt. His ankle comes in. He comes in. He can't even walk. It looks like what's his name, who broke his leg in college and drove down the field. He can't even move. They ran a read option play. The DN for LSU doesn't even look at the quarterback. They're like, you can't run. So the LSU team lost, but they win, I guess. On this Fugaze refs money line. I don't know. What are your thoughts? I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I think you covered. I personally didn't watch this game, but
I did.
I clearly. Um,
This is crazy.
I know, like going into Columbus and the Gamecocks is a tough place to play. Might be, if you look at it at the end of the season, might be a good win for LSU. Just looking at like the win-loss column,
Yeah.
but I haven't looked at the AP poll, but I'm assuming LSU doesn't move up or maybe drops in the poll
They
just
should be like
for this
21st.
game. Yeah, they are. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll look in a little bit, but
Yeah.
I mean, it does suck to lose a game like this. Like if you're a South Carolina fan, I know I'm kind of being outlandish a little bit, but the calls were awful. I mean, they were literally like the reason they lost that game. But in my opinion, if Lenore Sellers is healthy for South Carolina, that is a really good football team. I mean, their running back is a beast. He had like 143 yards and 2 touchdowns from Sanders on the ground, Raheem Sanders. And Sellers, if healthy, that's a tough game. They kind of like we talked about with the Cardinals, like not a team you want to play. I don't think you really want to see the South Carolina Gamecocks.
No.
They are a good football team. They got cheated out of that one, but I think remainder of the season, I think they're going to give a lot of teams problems, and I hope that they come back big after that game and how they lost because they deserve to be in the top 25. They should have won that game. And that was a bit of a statement game. I mean, if their quarterback didn't get hurt, I think they kind of blow the brakes off LSU, in my opinion. But I think they bounce back. I hope they get into the top 25, and I hope they are competing for a playoff spot because that is a good, well-coached football team, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah.
Let's move on to FSU, the worst football team in the nation.
Burn the school down.
It's the last time we talk about the FSU. I don't care. The Seminoles are dead to me.
Unless they beat Miami on some crazy
They're not beating anyone. Miami's winning by 80.
I'll be so happy with that. Yeah, burn the school down. You talked about it. You said if they lose to Memphis, they need to burn the school down, and I think
it's not on fire yet, but soon.
The fire department has been warned. DJU, you need to get a job.
DJ
is DJU. That's what that stands for. 16 of 30, 201 yards and 1 interception. Another stellar performance. He had another day where there was a open receiver in the back of the end zone, and he decides to throw it over. He threw it over the camera on the pylon, or not the pylon, the field goal, the crossbar. So he threw it over into like the third row when there's a wide open receiver in the back of the end zone. I think they need to move off of him. This is enough. This is enough of what is it?
Like, we're talking about the Memphis Tigers right now. We're talking about the Memphis Tigers.
They have enough to go off of to get him out of the starting position. The Tigers had 4 sacks. They were breathing down FSU's throat and neck all game. They need to go a different route at quarterback, though. FSU, your season's done. It's been done. And just so your coach...
It was done week 0. It was done.
Just so your coach doesn't lose his job, they should probably put in a new quarterback. They might want to just ask some fans at this point if they could play quarterback. Because
I'll redshirt and play. Like, I'll go. I might have some eligibility left.
DJU is terrible. Any thoughts on this?
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's done. Last time we mentioned FSU.
Let's move on.
Let's talk about the new number 1 team in the country.
The Longhorns, baby.
Horns up. Arch Manning takes over for Texas in the injured Quinn Ewers. He throws 12 passes, 4 of those for touchdowns. Also, adds a 67-yard touchdown run to that. If your name's Manning, chances are you're pretty good at football.
That's very true.
But Archie's changing the narrative for the Manning family. He's dual threat here.
He's a little bit of an athlete.
He's a little bit of an athlete. The younger guys, they can move around a little bit. But maybe some concern. Ewers' injury was a strained abdominal muscle and is now questionable to start this week. Luckily for Texas, they host Louisiana Monroe this week. And then next week, they get into conference play Mississippi State. So hopefully, I'm sure Ewers will be ready for the Mississippi State game. Do they roll out Arch Manning again this week against Louisiana Monroe? We don't know. We'll keep an eye on Ewers' status for this week. But it looks like Arch Manning might be ready to go. We'll see.
Yeah. I don't think this is sit back in the pocket Manning anymore. That man was moving. Texas is definitely the clear best team in the country right now. They're the most complete team. They probably maybe even have the best coach in the country. Sarkisian is doing wonders out there in Texas. They are holding teams at 6.3 points per game right now. The defense is smothering. 193 to 19 point differential. I know the only real team they've kind of played has been Michigan, but the secondary is the highlight for me. Funny because coming into the season, there was question marks about them. They had a transfer in from Clemson. They have a couple of, I think they lost some guys to the draft as well. So there's a big question mark coming into the secondary, but they might just be the best secondary in the country. They're holding teams to 136 yards per game in the air, and that's not on low attempts. That's almost over 30 attempts per game for their opposing team. So that secondary is flying around. That defense is flying around. And Texas is back. They definitely are back. The first time since maybe Vince Young days. It's been a while, so really that's a very promising stat. Very promising.
Like the all-white Texas jersey and the white helmets might be the cleanest in college football.
It's that orange brown with the white. Like, dude, they come out. They play hard. They play for their coach. They look good. They feel good, and they play good. And Texas is rolling right now. And I don't think they missed a step with Archie. Like you said, he came in, and the guy looked great.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's move on to your favorite football team in the nation, the Colorado Buffaloes.
This is when I leave and come back.
The Colorado Buffaloes beat Colorado State 28-9. They take care of business. You may have heard some drama. Colorado State talking some stuff on Instagram, whatever.
Barking out there.
Buffs. They go handle business. Travis Hunter catches 2 tuds from Shedeur. Travis also had an interception. He's a stud like always.
A goat right now.
Shedeur throws where he completes 39 of 49 or 36 of 49, for 310 yards and 4 touchdowns. I guess this is a good win for the team, but I personally I'm not buying into good win. It's Colorado State when we're talking about at the end of the day. When you see the Shedeur stat line, he threw 49 times, 310 yards, 4 touchdowns. You would think that the game, they scored 50 points in that game, but they can't run. They can't run the football. No. Even against Colorado State, they can't run the football. They have Baylor next week, who coming into the season wasn't really talked about or anything, but they hung in with Utah in week 2 for most of that game. And then Shedeur doesn't shake the quarterback's hand from Colorado State at the end of the game because he was talking on Instagram or whatever. But just be you are ahead of you're in. I don't even know how to explain this. You just act like you've been there before. You just beat a team that you should beat by 30 every day of the week, and you're just gonna have drama at the end of the game. Just be the bigger person, shake the dude's hand, and move on. You need to think about Baylor. Don't think about him trash talking you. I just didn't like that. Just shake the guy's hand and move on. It's Colorado State.
Yeah.
Those are my thoughts. I don't know.
Yeah. Overall, I said last week that this is a must-win for Colorado because they do have some tough games coming up. They do have Arizona, I remember, and I know Arizona just lost, but still, like you said, it's Colorado State. Should have even been a more convincing win, in my opinion. But again, this team, like I said, they should just stop with the noise. I said this last week. They need to cut the noise out and just get to business. But they don't. They can't. Like you said, they can't run. The only thing they can run is their mouth. Apparently, they can't run the ball though offensively. Again, some question marks. Travis Hunter, stud. Best player on that team probably. Not probably is. And like you said, the noise. I've never seen a 0-win then 4-win team talked about this much in my entire life. I know we talk about them. Everyone's going to talk about them. We'll see. We'll see how they look against better teams, coming up in that conference. But I just don't like the noise. I don't know how I'm feeling about the non-shaking of the hand. I know a lot of people are talking about that. Like you said, humility. Just you go into a team that you're supposed to beat. Sure, there's noise. Everybody talks. But at the end of the game, everybody should show respect and just shake hands and get the hell out of there. It's not
maybe I'd get if it was Utah or the Kansas State or something, but it's Colorado State. You you should win this game by 30.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know.
Yeah, they took care of business. Again, must win, and they showed up, which is a good sign. But we'll see how they look, moving forward. But moving on to a team that finally remembered how to play a complete game of football, Oregon. Oregon destroys Oregon State. Dylan Gabriel came out strong on the road, 291 yards, 2 touchdowns in the air, 64 yards on the ground with a touchdown, 3 total touchdowns. Only had 4 incompletions. Gabriel looking really good. Oregon's offense was just hitting on all cylinders. They couldn't stop it. The skill position guys basically took control of this game. I mean, they literally threw a screen pass, and my man took it to the house. They just looked like they were finally clicking. It took 3 weeks. The offense has been fine, pretty good all season. They've put up points to win games, but this, as a complete game, defensively, they came out, they showed out, and Dylan Gabriel showed that he's in complete control of that offense and in that team. I think they believe in him. And Oregon bounced back, kind of, showed everybody that, hey, we are who you said we are coming into the season for the Big Ten. So big win for them on the road, and excited to see how they look moving forward.
Yeah, definitely their hardest game on the schedule this week, and they look the best, which is good news for Oregon. Their offensive line looked better. They had some issues week 1 and week 2. And they had some bad penalties, but it looks like they're cleaning up a lot of stuff, and they looked really good against Oregon State, which is a big win for them.
Yeah. Last game we kind of want to hit on here is Georgia. Georgia fans, Georgia world, Georgia, everybody in Athens, hit the red panic button. I'm calling it now. Hit it now, and come back to this video when y'all aren't winning the SEC this year. Georgia squeaks out against Kentucky, 13-12. Carson Beck throws a whopping best quarterback in the country, 160 yards against Kentucky, who just got blown out by South Carolina. They had a controversial pick 6 called back. Another team with a pick 6 called back. The wide receiver for Georgia it bounces off the ground, and the defensive back from Kentucky says, "Oh, let me take that. I'm going to take this to the house." That's called back. That would have won them the game later on in the final score. But second time, Georgia's offense has looked horrible. They looked horrible for a whole half of football against Clemson, and they are sputtering offensively here against Kentucky. They put up a total of 262 yards of offense against Kentucky, who got routed by South Carolina again last week. I personally think Georgia should be worried. They do not look like the powerhouse we've seen in the last couple of years. I know they won, but another game where they should not have won. Again, they had a pick 6 called back, but looking ahead for Georgia, this is why I say hit the panic button. I live in Georgia, so a lot of my fans are going to hate me saying, or my friends are going to hate me saying this, and I don't care. I don't. You guys should be worried. They got listen to this, Georgia fans. Let's take the brain, look at just be common sense here, okay? You got number 4 Bama on the road this week, okay? Then in 3 weeks from now, you got at number 1 Texas, and them boys. Good luck. And then 2 weeks following that, you go
Jackson Dirt.
You go to arguably the best quarterback in the country, in Ole Miss, and then you host Tennessee at home. So in a span of a month and a half, really, you're playing 4 teams that most likely in that stretch will be top 5 teams. Oh boy, you better figure it out offensively. This is my hot take. I've said it. I actually texted my friend this. I will show a screenshot at the end of the year if I get this right. But my hot take for Georgia, fans listening, if y'all get into the playoffs, okay, and y'all have a game where you guys need Carson Beck to get the job done, if that NFL team, just like Stetson Bennett had, doesn't blow teams out, or the defense doesn't hold a team to 10 points apparently, and Carson Beck's in a shootout or needs to make throws to get the job done, he won't. Write it down. You heard it here first, and we're gonna time travel back. When I'm right, he will not get the job done. It's panic in Georgia. I don't care if they're undefeated. You guys barely beat freaking Kentucky, and y'all should be worried. Any thoughts on this game? Okay.
Yeah, I think obviously not a good win for Georgia, but I still think Georgia has the best head coach in the country, and I think he will take this game as if they lost, and he obviously the whole Georgia team feels like, okay, they scored more points, but this is a loss for us. I think they are going to be feeling that in the locker room, especially going to Bama this week. I think Kirby gets the boys ready to go, but Carson Beck, if it comes, you made a good point. If it comes down to Carson Beck making that last drive to win or go kick a field goal or something, can he do it?
No.
No, we will see.
No.
But yeah, those my thoughts. I think they have the best
Rough
coach.
games, man. That month and a half. I mean, you're playing number 4 as of right now, and I think Ole Miss and Tennessee can move up here, but they're playing number 4, number 1, number 5, and number 6 in about a month in this ish stretch. That's insane.
Yeah,
they're losing at least 3 of those. I don't care what nobody says. But anyway, that's my take. Again, that hot take will come to fruition here. Let's move on to the brand new top 25, baby.
Brand new.
Let's start off. Again, we have yet to move in the top 4. The top 4 teams remain the same. The positions, however, do change, but same 4 teams. Jay, we got Texas moving up to number 1. The Longhorns take the top spot. Georgia falls after looking very impressive on the road in Kentucky. Ohio State doesn't move, and Bama doesn't move. I still think these are the 4 best teams in the country. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Texas moving to number 1, Georgia falling. But yeah, I agree with those 4.
I do as well. We always do this each week, but we're going to look at 4 to 12. This is your playoff, everybody. This is pretty much accurate. Missouri falls 1. Tennessee moves up 1. Again, Missouri kind of struggled against Boston College. Tennessee looks very good. What are your thoughts on any movement in the 5 to 12 range? This is your playoff.
No, I agree with all of these. USC at 11 is interesting.
Yeah. They haven't moved, but they've been.
They didn't play. Yeah, they didn't play this week. But no, I agree with Missouri dropping a little bit. Tennessee moving up. The U moving up too. Oregon not moving after an impressive win. At Oregon, not super impressive, but they got the job done.
Definitely the best they've looked.
Yeah, so far. Penn State drops just because Miami and Tennessee move up, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree with the ones I agree with is Tennessee moving up and then us flipping with Penn State. I think I said this last week that we should have been 8th, and now we finally move up to 8th, and I think that's right where we belong. 3-0, we looked good. I mean, we played Ball State, we beat them 62-0 or something. But yeah, overall, I think if this was the playoff, this would be amazing. I really love this playoff. I know some teams like Kansas State, we're going to get into a little bit. Oklahoma State, they're kind of sitting outside of it. Oklahoma. But if this was the 12, I mean, the quarterbacks alone.
Northern Illinois would be in Utah's spot.
That's crazy. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I love the storyline for Northern Illinois, especially after last week. But if you look at the top 12 right now, let's just say this is what it was. The quarterbacks alone in that are going to be a fun watch. I mean, those
Memphis has to be like right outside the top 25 after that win against Florida State, right?
They should be. They're gonna win that conference. So yeah. And then we'll look at the rest of the way 13 through 25. Not a lot of huge movement here. Pretty much almost the same as last week. Notre Dame moves back up. They kind of remembered that they're competing in college football. LSU does not move. They should have fell. They should have lost. Fine. Northern Illinois. They move up 2 spots. They're 23, baby. They're 23.
They have arrived.
23. Yeah. Any comments on this? I think this is
No, not a lot of teams. I mean, like half the teams on this list didn't even play.
Right.
So we'll have some more movement next week.
Yeah. Michigan at 18, man. That's kind of crazy to see. I feel like, but yeah, I think again, I pretty much agreed with almost every week we've seen so far in the top 25.
Yeah, Texas A&M creeps back into as well to the top 25 after a good win in Florida.
Yeah, they deserve that. That's definitely a top 25 team. All right.
Let's go to the last segment of the day. Over, under reactions. Let's talk some crazy stuff here.
Let's get into it. Your Ravens is the first over under reaction. Jason, do the Ravens miss the playoffs?
I mean, at this point, this is an underreaction.
Dude.
I mean, we're 0-2. Like, you talked about the stat earlier. Like, I'm not going to say it's an overreaction because we're going to win like 10 games in a row. Like we're like,
They better. That was my prediction.
This is an underreaction. Like after starting 0-2, we might miss the playoffs, unfortunately.
That's a crazy stat. Crazy stat. I had y'all going 12-6, and I think, and winning the AFC North. So, in my humble opinion, y'all need to pick it up.
I mean, looking at the next 3 weeks for us, it's going to be tough. If we can go 2-1, I think that would be like a win.
2-3 would look good in 5 weeks after going 0-2. So
yeah,
that would definitely be a win, in my opinion.
Is the NFC South the best division in the NFL?
Oof. I mean, they have the best offense we've ever seen. They're better. The 2024 Saints are better than the 2013 Broncos. I don't care what 07 Patriots. Who?
I mean, Derek Carr and Baker Mayfield in the same division, like
the MVP frontrunners right now. They're missing Sam Darnold, and then they would just be a powerhouse. Look like the SEC a couple years ago. Is the NFC South the best division in football? I'm going to say this is a bit of an overreaction. Even though they do have 2-0 teams, the AFC South is the only team, I think, with the other ones. But I think it's a bit of an overreaction. I still think the divisions like the NFC West with Seattle, Arizona, the Rams, and I also think the AFC West. I think there's even the AFC North. I know we're looking like dog cock.
No, we're the worst division in the football.
All right, we might be the worst division, but this is a bit of an overreaction. But I will say this is definitely the surprise division so far, for sure. Yeah. But definitely not the best division, but up there. They've definitely made some moves to get up there. Jason, under reactions that the once bust of the NFL, the journeyman, what seemed like coming out of USC. I was high on Sam Darnold coming out of USC. We didn't have a podcast then, but I thought he was going to be good. Kind of bounced around, looked like he's maybe going to be another Andy Dalton. Did he find a home though in Minnesota? Does Sam Darnold win the MVP of the NFL?
I mean, I wouldn't even think this is a reaction. Like, just give him the award right now. Like, what are we talking about? No, just kidding. This is definitely like an overreaction. Obviously, he's playing well. Maybe if he stays on the course here, we might be able to talk about it later in the season. But this is definitely an overreaction through 2 weeks for sure.
Fair enough.
But let's talk about your Steelers. Should Justin Fields be the starter for the rest of the season?
Well, my quick answer is no. So this is a overreaction. I'm sorry. Justin, I was going to talk about this today with our friend Wilk, but Justin doesn't look great. He's doing enough to win, but I think on paper, this offense will be, I want to say slightly, but I almost lean significantly better with Russ at the helm. And I think the reason is I don't think we're going to have MVP candidate either way at quarterback, but I think Russ is just going to make the big NFL sideline throws, the tight window throws that Justin can't make. It seems like after his first read, if it's not there, he's looking to run and just get out of that mess in the pocket, and I don't like that. I'd like to see what we look like with him if we do need to put up points. We play the Chargers this week, a very good offense. Hasn't hit strides yet offensively. I know we have a good defense, but it could be one of those weeks. You never know. It's just one of those Sundays where the opposing team scores 30 on our defense, and we got to put up points. I want to see how that looks, but this is a overreaction in my opinion. I think we're going to look better with Russ at the helm. So I do not think Fields need to be the starter.
I don't know. We'll see. I think like if they keep winning, right? Like
I've heard that, but no, you got to get Russ in there.
If they keep winning, like what if they go 3-0, they beat the Chargers next week. Russ is healthy. He comes in week 4 and they lose.
We're sticking with Russ. That's Mr. Unlimited.
Mr. Unlimited.
I don't know. That's an interesting topic. Do we keep in the guy who's winning? He's just not doing. It's not like he's.
It's not. You're not winning because of him. I get that.
Look like Baker Mayfield or Derek. Like I'd be. Oh yeah, it was great. But we haven't had anyone score more than like 13 points or something. Like. We've had no challenge offensively to move the ball to score, and we haven't showed that. We haven't really. He threw one touchdown. He's had one touchdown. He had one touchdown against Denver. It was a good throw, but I don't know. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
The best offense in NFL history. The Saints. Do the Saints make it to the NFC Championship game? I don't know, Jay.
This is an overreaction. We've seen this story before with Derek Carr. He comes out real hot, throws for 400 yards, five touchdowns, and then by December he's throwing 3 interceptions and 150 yards. So I'm gonna pump the brakes on the Saints a little bit. They do look good. I'm not taking it away anything that they've done for the first 2 weeks, but NFC Championship game is definitely an overreaction for the Saints.
As soon as Black Ops 6 drops, him and Kyler are going to be getting high rounds on that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's chalked for them.
Okay.
Let's move on. Offensive Rookie of the Year. I believe the leader in the clubhouse would be Jaden Daniels of the Commanders. Will he win Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Seeing the Commanders, are they 2-0 right now?
No, they're 1-1.
They're 1-1. He's looked good. I mean, of the rookies, he's definitely looked the best, which is a bit of a surprise. I said he would look good, but I don't know. I had Marvin Harrison, winning this. I know Caleb was the favorite. Harrison did bounce back big this week with 130 yards, but I don't think this is an overreaction. I think Jaden has the tools and capability to win this. I don't know if he will per se, but as of right now, I don't think this is an overreaction at all. He's looked good, and I don't think any other offensive rookies are looking great right now. We'll see. Marvin Harrison did have a bounce-back game, and we'll see how Caleb, again, that offensive
out of quarterbacks, I think Jaden Daniels has the best offensive line in front of him.
For sure.
Yeah.
I don't think this is an overreaction. I can see Jaden definitely winning the MVP or Offensive Rookie of the Year, for sure.
Nice.
Let's switch from NFL to college. Some over/under reactions. College. Georgia, my favorite team, along with Colorado, loses big this week to Bama in Tuscaloosa.
I mean, I think this is definitely an underreaction. I could definitely see them losing big. Depending on what's big, like 2 touchdowns, I think that would be considered a big loss for Georgia.
I'd say 2 possessions, like a 2 2-ish, maybe more possession.
I mean, Tuscaloosa is going to be banana land.
Rockin', baby.
That is going to be bananas on Saturday. And Georgia didn't look good. I don't know. Bama did look good against Wisconsin. Wisconsin has a good defense. They put up they put 42 points on Wisconsin.
Is Milroe with a Heisman? I don't even know.
I mean,
he looks great.
I'm excited for that game this week for sure. But definitely an underreaction. They could lose big.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Buffaloes. I know they keep coming up, and we love to talk about them. Do the Colorado Buffaloes win another game this season?
Everything in my being wants to say this is an underreaction because I hate talking about it. I'm going to say this is a slight overreaction. And the only reason being is they have some teams in the remaining schedule that they should and are capable of beating. Do they have a lot of promise and probably odds to do it? No, they don't. But this is a very slight, and gosh, it takes everything in me to not say overreaction. But this is a slight overreaction.
Okay.
I think they do win a couple more. A couple.
Okay.
And lastly, our last over-under of the day. Does Archie Manning win a Heisman Trophy during his career in Texas?
I think this is an underreaction, honestly. Like, I know it's hard to win the Heisman, but Texas right now being the number 1 team in the country, they're going to have a great recruiting class next year. A lot of guys are going to step up. Archie Manning probably takes over the starting job, obviously, next season. Yeah, I mean, if he plays like he did, I mean, obviously it was against, the UTSA. Yeah. But look at his last name. He can do whatever he wants to do.
Oh, God. Okay, that wraps up our over-under reaction for the week. Do you want to wrap up this episode? I mean, that is looking at, what is that, week 3 in
Week 3 college, week 2 NFL.
A lot of craziness, a lot of crazy stuff going on.
We got a game tonight, and then we will cover pretty much everything NFL next week. look ahead. We have some big college football games this week. This week was kind of slow as far as college ball, but we picked back up this week, which I'm excited about.
Big game, Georgia-Bama, game of the week,
Yeah,
matchup of the
definitely.
week. We're going to definitely break that down. Carson Beck's throwing 8 interceptions. We'll definitely come back and talk to y'all about that one. But that's it. That's it for this episode. Good episode. Again, very crazy season so far. The Saints are winning the Super Bowl. Darnold's winning the MVP. Georgia looks like doo-doo. And I don't know. I love it, though. I love it because it's just crazy land.
We're in the mix. Football's the best sport ever.
It's the best. I love talking about it. We love talking about it. Hope y'all love listening to us talk about it, even though this is a sports show hosted by 2 idiots, and we are those 2 idiots. We have no idea what we're talking about half the time, but it's fun. And we will see y'all on Thursday. Again, like we said, game tonight. We got Thursday night. Football's all over the place. And we love y'all. We'll see y'all in the next episode.
Peace.